Good morning, friends. At the outset, I wish to thank the organizers of this wonderful MOX conference and the team Amravati, Dr. Preeti Jingare Madam, Dr. Pranjal Sharma, Dr. Jagruti Shah, convener for this workshop, for having invited me here to speak on this topic. The topic given to me is one of the obstetric emergencies that I suppose all of us must have faced sometime or the other, and that is umbilical cord prolapse. What is umbilical cord? I don't think I need to mention, just that it is the lifeline to the fetus. And umbilical cord prolapse occurs when the umbilical cord comes out of the uterus with or before the presenting part. It's a relatively rare condition, generally less than 1%, more common in women who have just had a rupture of membranes. Whenever there is a sudden decrease in the fetal heart rate pattern, one must suspect this, especially so when the membranes have just ruptured. So this is how it looks. As I said, the incidence is 0.1 to 0.6%, and the perinatal mortality is very high. It comes from prematurity because it often occurs in a premature labor, birth asphyxia because of cord compression. If it is prolonged, it leads to hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy and sometimes cerebral palsy, and hence it is an obstetric emergency. There are three types. One is the overt or the exposed cord prolapse, which is descent of the umbilical cord below the presenting part. In this, the cord has come out of the cervix, and you can actually see it on per speculum examination or palpate it during your per vaginal examination. Then there is an occult umbilical prolapse, which is descent of the umbilical cord alongside the fetal presenting part by the side of the presenting part but not yet below. This is generally suspected when you are doing a non-stress test and you get a variable deceleration. One should suspect this, and then of course confirmed by ultrasonography. And third is the phunic presentation or the cord presentation, which is when the cord is below the presenting part but when the membranes are intact. So through the membranes you can feel the cord, and that is cord presentation. So these are the three different types. Pathogenesis, basically there is no pathogenesis as such, but one probable mechanism is the high outward flow of amniotic fluid. So especially when there is polyhydramnios, one should always keep this in mind, that there could be a possibility of cord prolapse the minute there is a rupture of membranes. The most common cause of an umbilical cord prolapse is premature delivery, multiple pregnancies, twins or triplets, etc., excessive amniotic fluid, any kind of malpresentation, particularly breech delivery, etc., and an umbilical cord which is longer than usual. So these are the risk factors. In general factors, you have multiparity, low birth weight, prematurity, fetal congenital anomalies, malpresentations, breech, transfers, etc., polyhydramnios, sometimes low-lying placenta, and procedure-related, as I said, ARM. So one should always be careful while doing an ARM. If you feel that the presenting part is not well engaged and you still want to do an ARM, you have to do it in a controlled manner with an assistant pressing on the presenting part, so that as soon as the membranes are ruptured, the presenting part gets engaged and does not allow the cord to come in. In the olden days, when we used to do procedures like external cephalic version or internal cephalic version, sometimes during these procedures the cord could have come down, but of course these are obsolete now, generally not done. Diagnosis. First is of course feeling the cord dropping into the vagina, or your midwife shouting that the cord is seen. Secondly, during the pelvic examination, when you feel the cord. Thirdly, when you're doing the fetal heart Doppler and you find there's a deceleration, a sudden deceleration, generally less than 120 beats per minute, indicates that probably there is a cord prolapse, and this is because of the cord compression and a decreased oxygen supply to the fetus. And finally, of course, during an ultrasound scan, if the sonographer is vigilant enough, he can definitely find the cord either by the side of or even below the presenting part. Important things: do not handle the cord too much. Immediately assess the cervical dilatation, see whether the cord is pulsating or not. If you don't feel the pulsations, check the fetal heart sounds on the Doppler or on the ultrasound. Management, it depends on the situation. Caesarean section, especially if the woman is in early labor. Vaginal delivery, if your clinical judgment tells you that you could probably go ahead for a safe delivery, especially if the cervix is almost fully dilated, the presenting part is right down there, and probably you could quickly try to reposit the cord above the presenting part in between contractions, and then quickly go in for a delivery like a ventouse or something like that, which will immediately deliver the baby rather than waiting for a cesarean section. Some of the following maneuvers can be done which are used in clinical practice. One is a manual elevation of the presenting part, pushing up the presenting part with your fingers, repositioning the mother in either in a deep Trendelenburg position or in lifting up the hips or the pelvis, filling of the bladder with using a Foley's catheter in a large quantity so that the full bladder pushes up the presenting part, use of tocolytics to relax the uterus so that the pressure on the cord becomes less. If the mother is far from delivery, particularly then in such cases, one could try to push up the cord between contractions, and it is possible. We have all done it. I think it's, if you are sort of a little bit experienced enough, you could try to do that and push the cord above the presenting part. These are the three positions. One is of course the manual pushing up of the cord. Secondly, the knee chest position. This is a position which is useful in when the patient is in early labor, because in this position the presenting part goes down. And then the third that I was telling you, lift up the hips using pillows. This is a very nice flow chart. You can see that in a hospital, if the vaginal delivery is imminent, if the fetal heart rates are reassuring, await a spontaneous vaginal delivery. If they are not reassuring, then you immediately go for a cesarean section. If the delivery is not imminent, you can go for a Trendelenburg or a knee chest position. Try to push up the presenting part. If after that the fetal heart rates are reassuring, you could probably go in for a urgent cesarean section under a regional anesthesia. But if it is not reassuring, then you need to go for an urgent under general anesthesia. Out of hospital, you can go put her in the knee chest position. You could do bladder filling and consider tocolytics. I'll just skip through this, the same thing that is there, bladder filling. Regional anesthesia, as I said, may be considered in consultation with an experienced anesthetist. That is, with modern techniques, the complications for general anesthesia are less, but still one would try to avoid general anesthesia, and if it is possible, go for a regional anesthesia. Neonatal care is very important. The neonatologist should be there to attend such deliveries. Like Madam Sneha said, in such an emergency, you have to call your additional team members so that additional help is there, including the neonatologist. This management in community settings becomes important. Waiting for hospital transfer. When the patient is in that hospital, you can give her the knee chest position, which I had shown you the picture of. And during ambulance transfer, put her in the left lateral position. Elevate the presenting part either using a bladder filling technique or using pillows underneath the hips, and prevent vasospasm by minimal handling of the cord. Training is important. All staff involved in maternity care should receive at least annual training in the management of obstetric emergencies, including the management of cord prolapse, updates on the management of obstetric emergencies, including the interpretation of fetal heart rate patterns, are a proactive approach to risk management, and all staff involved in the maternity care should attend annual multidisciplinary rehearsals, including for management of cord prolapse. Thank you.